It's important to say banned manga isn't just one thing. Sometimes a government does it, sometimes a school, sometimes a parent who read 2 pages and panicked. Let's get into it, starting with a big one, Berserk. If you know manga, you know Berserk. It's not just dark fantasy, it's like the dark fantasy. People put it next to actual literature. Kentaro Miura drew it for over 30 years, poured his whole life into it, and died in 2021 before he could finish it. Fans are still waiting for an ending that's never fully coming. So that's the weight of this thing. Now, here's what happened to it. January 2026, the entire province of Alberta, Canada, every public school, around 800,000 kids, gets an order from the government to pull Berserk off the shelves. Not a school board, not a principal, the education minister himself. The reason? Explicit visual depictions of sexual acts. And if you've read Volume 3, The Eclipse, you know the exact scene they mean. It's the most infamous moment in the entire series. But here's the part that actually breaks my brain. When they wrote the rule, they updated it so that novels, prose books like The Handmaid's Tale get to stay. Same content, same themes, same darkness. As long as it's words on a page, it's literature. The second, it's a drawing and therefore a crime. So a sentence describing something is art. A panel showing it is obscene. That's the real logic. And Berserk wasn't even alone. They swept up Blackbird and Trigun Maximum in the same order, and Edmonton flagged over 200 titles total. A 30-year life's work, one of the greatest things the medium ever produced, gone because somebody decided pictures are more dangerous than paragraphs. And the wildest irony? The thing that got it flagged is the exact thing that makes it a masterpiece. Miura's line work is so detailed, so real, that a single panel can hit harder than a whole page of prose ever could. He drew it too well, but hold on to that thought, because it comes back later in a courtroom. Okay, so you'd assume they saved that energy for the really graphic stuff, right? Nope. Meet the most banned manga in America, Assassination Classroom. And I need you to understand how gentle this series actually is. It's a Shonen Jump comic about a class of failure kids, the rejects, the ones the school already gave up on, who get assigned to kill their teacher. Except the teacher, Koro-sensei, turns out to be the best thing that ever happened to them. He believes in them when nobody else does. It's basically an anti-bullying story. It made grown adults cry. And in 2024 and 2025, it got pulled from US school libraries at least 54 times. That's not me guessing. That's PEN America's report, literally titled The Normalization of Book Banning. Florida, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, Texas, South Carolina. And it didn't stop there. You know what else got yanked in the same wave? Naruto, One Piece, Dragon Ball, Attack on Titan, JoJo, Bleach. Basically the entire personality of every guy watching this video right now. Gone. In one South Carolina case, a parent's official complaint listed the dangerous content as, and I quote, handguns, rifles, knives, and potions. Potions. Fictional magic got flagged as a threat to children. This is the exact moment banned stops meaning dangerous and starts meaning one adult skimmed 2 pages, panicked, and a whole school lost the book. Next one, you definitely know. Death Note, a notebook that kills anyone whose name you write in it, while a teenage genius and a detective play the smartest game of chess in anime history. Iconic. And it triggered one of the most insane real-world panics manga has ever caused. 2005. China. Kids started making them. Real ones. They'd buy a normal notebook, decorate it to look exactly like the Death Note from the manga, and write down the names of teachers and classmates they hated, following the rules from the story like an actual ritual. It started in the city of Shenyang, where officials confiscated almost 200 of these notebooks out of shops. Then it spread, Beijing, Shanghai, more cities, and selling the manga and the notebooks became illegal. One group of parents called it, and I'm not making this up, a poison that creates wicked hearts. And it wasn't just China. In the US, schools lost it for years. Since 2007, at least 11 students have been suspended, expelled, or straight up arrested over homemade death notes. One kid in Washington got expelled for writing 50 names. 2 6th graders in Alabama got arrested. And one kid's hit list, it had his classmates on it and Justin Bieber. And honestly, there's something almost poetic about it. Death Note is a story about what happens when an ordinary kid gets godlike power. He abuses it instantly and turns into a monster. Then real teenagers got hold of the idea and did the exact same thing. The whole panic kind of proved the manga's entire point. But here's the punchline. When America actually tried to ban the manga itself, Albuquerque wanted it gone from every school in the district. The vote got shot down unanimously. So China banned the killer notebook, and America officially decided that a notebook is, in fact, just a notebook. All right, tone shift, because this one isn't dumb. This one actually matters. Barefoot Gen, it's not fiction. The author, Keiji Nakazawa, was 6 years old, standing in Hiroshima when the atomic bomb dropped. He survived. Most of his family, his father, his sister, his brother, did not. And years later, he sat down and drew all of it. The flash. The skin coming off people as they walked. The shadows of human beings burned into the walls. The aftermath nobody wanted to look at. For decades, this was required reading in Japanese schools. Teachers used it to show kids what actually happened. It's one of the most awarded, most respected manga ever made. And then, in 2012, the city of Matsue ordered it pulled from school libraries. Kids weren't allowed to take it off the shelf on their own. It started with basically one complaint, someone calling it anti-Japanese. And a few other cities started doing the same, and here's the real reason. It wasn't the gore. Barefoot Gen also shows Japan's own war crimes, and there are people who'd rather kids never learn that part. This was never about protecting children. It was about editing the past. But this is why I love telling this one. It didn't work. 44 out of 49 school principals in Matsue stood up and demanded it go back on the shelves, and they won. A survivor told the truth, people tried to bury it, and the truth stayed put. Now, the nerdy one, and stick with me because this is the one that literally rewrote the law. Japan, the manga capital of planet Earth. Billions of pages, every genre imaginable, an entire economy built on comics. And somehow, it took until the 2000s for the country to put a single manga on criminal trial for obscenity. That title was an adult manga called Mishitsu. The publisher got raided, the editor got arrested, and the trial that followed is almost too stupid to be real because the whole legal argument came down to the censorship bars. The little mosaic blurs over the explicit parts. The court decided they weren't blurry enough. The art was too detailed, too well drawn, so they fought it. Took it all the way up to the Supreme Court of Japan, and in 2007, they lost. The conviction stood, and that case set the legal definition of what counts as obscene in a drawing in Japan to this day. Think about that. The single most important country in the history of the medium drew its legal line in the sand over mosaic density. The dumbest, most consequential argument about blur ever held in a courtroom. And finally, the guy from the very beginning, Go Nagai, Harenchi Gakuen, 1968. You have to understand what this was. Shonen Jump was brand new and struggling. Harenchi Gakuen was one of the hits that put it on the map. It was massive. It was also the first manga to drop real, in-your-face raunch into a magazine made for kids. And Japan completely lost its mind. The PTA, the Parents Associations, declared all-out war. Mass protests. They got the magazine blocked from distribution in entire regions of the country. National media called Go Nagai an enemy of society. Teachers' groups came after him, and his own publisher kept leaning on him. End it. Make it stop. Make the noise go away. So Nagai ended it. But he did not go quietly. In the final arc, he wrote the censors directly into the story. An army of furious parents and teachers literally storms the school, and the students grab weapons and fight back. It turns into a full-blown war, and everyone dies. He drew the exact people trying to ban him getting wiped out. In battle, by the very kids they claimed to be protecting. He didn't just quit. He turned his own cancellation into the plot, gave the censors a body count, and walked away to go create Devilman, Mazinger. Basically half of modern manga. And that's the part that should really sting the people who came after him. The enemy of society they tried to erase became one of the most influential artists the medium has ever produced. Every dark, boundary-pushing manga you love owes something to the guy they tried to cancel in 1968. That is the most legendary clapback the medium has ever seen. Absolute legend. Real quick, before we wrap, a lightning round, because honestly, 6 wasn't enough. My Hero Academia, the biggest superhero manga on earth, pulled from US school libraries for sexual content. Black Butler, same deal, yanked across multiple states. And that same wave that swallowed Assassination Classroom also came for Naruto, One Piece, and Dragon Ball. 3 of the best-selling comics in human history, treated like actual contraband. At this point, it's less a banned books list and more a banned books hit list. So that's 6. And if there's one thread running through all of them, it's that banned almost never means what you think it means. Sometimes it's protecting a kid. Sometimes it's burying a war crime. Sometimes it's a court arguing about Blur. And sometimes it's a parent who saw the word potions and called the school. So the only real question left is, who gets to decide what you're allowed to read? Tell me in the comments which one was the dumbest. Genuinely, I can't pick. And if you want more manga the world tried to erase, subscribe because part 2 is already loaded. See you in the next one.